Hello and welcome to another episode of the Aró Digital Strategy Hotel Podcast. Although it is not yet August and finally the summer sun has come out in Galway, today we are going to be talking about Christmas. To help me with that, my guests today are our resident marketing expert, Lisa Leahy. Hello again, Lisa.
Hello.
And making her debut on the podcast, we have Aró's Senior Account Manager, Ciara Clancy. Hi, Ciara, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Lisa.
Thanks for joining us both. So just as a starting point and a brief introduction, Ciara, can you tell us what an Aró account manager does and why it's such an important role? And you head up the account management team.
Yeah, so in Aró we have a team of 4 account managers, and I suppose our primary role is really work really closely with our clients and to help them drive their overall online revenue. We sort of try to be a very much a partner with them in their business, help them with areas that they need help on their online digital strategy side of things, and really get into the nitty-gritty with them in terms of like their overall business. So we put a big focus on room sales. Obviously, that's really, really important, voucher sales, but also like hand in hand with that, we'll look at all of the other areas of their business, like their F&B and how we can promote that, their weddings, their corporates, their events, and put an emphasis on that with our SEO team. So we really try to be a partner with them on all areas of their business. We'd have, regular communication with our clients. Like we work with clients on different levels of service as well. It's probably important to say. And with some clients, we have monthly calls. And as part of that, we'll be developing out their online strategy, what we're working on, what we need to work on. And we rely on them to give us a lot of information as well, in terms of how they're performing and how we can also help with that as well. I suppose just, we've been the team of account managers that are in Aró have been there for a long time. So we've got a good wealth of experience behind us in terms of been through a lot with all of our clients, and we've got clients with us for a long number of years as well. So that we've been through a lot in terms of like all the different various, industry changes that have happened. And really such a big focus coming onto the digital, in the last number of years. So yeah, I suppose that's sort of what we do. And in our team, every client that comes to Aró has an account manager. Like I said, there's various different levels of service, but you always have somebody that you should be able to call on the end of the phone if you've got any queries or questions or anything. But I'd say our primary role is drive revenue for our clients and drive online success.
But it is interesting what you just said at the end there, Ciara, is that it is worth emphasising that clients can actually pick up the phone and talk to a real life human account manager. I think that's a very comforting thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about Christmas. I don't know, many people groan as Christmas fever starts to build after Halloween, or maybe even before Halloween. So there may be quite a lot of people rolling their eyes as they listen to this, and as we're talking about it in August. But from a hotel sales and revenue perspective, it is an absolutely crucial period. Maybe second only to the summer period. So, Lisa, from a kind of more macro perspective, can you give us an overview of why Christmas is so important to hotels in general? And if you have can give any sort of figures you could give us around how valuable it would be to independent luxury hotels for bookings and vouchers.
Yeah, so Christmas is obviously dead bang in the center of winter, and the winter generally for most properties, I suppose, unless you're a ski resort, can be a fairly lean time of year. From a corporate perspective, quite often people are running down they're waiting, they've used their budgets, so they're not as active as they would be ordinarily in terms of events and stays and that kind of thing if they have a January to December calendar. And I suppose in general, it's just a very different time of year or of winter versus the rest of winter. So you have to treat it differently. There's the kind of the whole of the month of December is it has different periods in it. So you've got the kind of Christmas parties period, the Christmas shopping period leading up to Christmas, and then you've got the actual festive season itself, you know, which is probably from the 23rd right through to maybe the 2nd or 3rd or 4th of January, and that changes again. So there's a number of, it kicks off really, I suppose, around Black Friday. That's when you start to, you know, the sales really start to ramp up. But you have to have done all of your promotions and all of your preparations months in advance to be ready for that. So most of our clients who would be independent hoteliers in unique locations would be planning their strategies now, would probably have it planned, obviously their pricing and everything planned since January or before, but now is the time where the focus really comes on it because it's now the sales start.
Right.
And
Brilliant.
suppose,
Okay.
Sorry,
So,
to answer your other question, like the month of December for many properties, like it's different across the world, but for many properties, the month of December carries the whole of the last quarter. You know, if you have a good December, you're going to finish the year off on a high, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a critical time of year. And then for some other properties, it might be about minimizing, you know, if you're in a very remote location where you're not going to have your Christmas shoppers, and, you know, it's a whole different strategy, but it's probably more about selling vouchers and capitalizing on Black Friday and those promotions to get a base in for the first quarter. So for every property, it's different, but it's definitely needs to be thought about at this time of year.
Okay. So Christmas is a bit like an oasis in the desert, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Kira, after that great general overview, can you give us a perspective from somebody who deals with Aró clients, you know, how much they would value it, and, you know, if you can give us, you don't have to say, you know, who the head hotel is, but, you know, if you can give us any kind of idea of, you know, what percentage of their revenue, you know, voucher revenue or booking revenue, you know, Christmas can bring in for a sort of typical independent hotel in a unique location.
Yeah, like so Lisa said it there, like it starts around Black Friday, you know, when the run up to that. So really, that's your first sort of big selling opportunity. And a lot of hoteliers will look to do, a lot of our clients will look to do discounts around that time, whether they're going to do it off vouchers. Typically they would, and we would also advise that they do that as well. It works very well when you get just really good sales for vouchers that have percentages off. And you'll find as well, like just letting your, you know, your client base know about what's coming up ahead for your, you know, your Black Friday sale as early as you can, and they will then hold out for that particular event then. And then that usually kicks it off, and then it continues off into December. I mean, the amount of sales that come through on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day for online vouchers is huge.
Okay.
And they're probably our two best performing days in terms of, you know, clients selling online. So there's a huge opportunity there. Like, and hoteliers are very well aware of this. So it's about us helping them get the message out there to all of their client base and helping to come up with, to work with them with ideas, how they can best promote it and how we can get that out to as many people as possible in its, you know, in a most efficient time. Like, we'll be often advising that they do have their pages on their website, make sure that that's all up to date, you know, like let people know what you're going to be doing, communicate through your e-signs, and then whatever the budgets are available for all of your paid campaigns around Black Friday and all of that sort of thing. Like, it's really never too early to start thinking about it. Like, we have clients that update their content for Christmas in January. So they're just done with the one season, they're into the next. There's
Okay.
absolutely no harm with that. And the best thing then as well about like all the organic side of it is it always stays there. It'll stay there and it'll be found. So just make sure your content is all relevant. Like, we see already searches for Christmas. We've seen them since May. You know, we see bookings coming through. There's plenty of bookings coming through at the moment for Christmas. So it's never too early to look at it. Like, the focus then can start closer to the time, but it's never too early to start getting prepared for that. So we would always kind of like, you know, we'd be communicating to clients in terms of like, what are the key phrases that have been searched on now, to make sure all their content is up to date for that. But then there's also the other side of Christmas, which is like those that have the hotels open throughout Christmas, so how are you going to get people to stay in the hotel? Then you've got all your F&B side, you've got your Christmas parties, your New Year's Eve balls, and all of that sort of, promotion that goes all hand in hand with everything. So it's a huge season, like, and it takes a lot of work in terms of the promotion of it. Like, you'll be getting ready from very early on, like Lisa said. And typically we'll try to kind of line up with clients on that. I mean, as early as possible, like as soon as they know what they're doing, like we can know as well, and we can be prepared in terms of our team, making sure that we've got the content that's ready, it's fully optimized, but also that your ads are sort of like, we're ready to go with all that stuff, and you're just turning things on as you go and getting the most out of it.
Yep, and that it's just funny thinking about hotels that do weddings, for example. This is the busiest time for weddings, and they're probably up to their eyes doing summer weddings, and somebody else is also preparing content for Christmas. But I think that's a really good, that juxtaposition underlines how important this season is. And I don't know whether you can be more specific, Kira, but I would think some hotels probably sell 90% of their vouchers in the run up to Christmas, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah, in terms of like revenue coming through, like for the months of December, like you'd be looking probably up to around the 80% in terms of what's coming through voucher versus accommodation, because it's primarily vouchers at this time of the year. And there's only the select few that are open throughout the Christmas period as well, so you're primarily going to be pushing vouchers. So yeah, it's super important. It'll line them up then for the next quarter, for quarter one 2025. Really important to have that in the bank. And it's a very good way of making money as well. And you'll often hear the general public on about how they'll be waiting for the sales, and they'll be booking their accommodation based on their discounted vouchers and all of that. And there's lots of different ways that hotels do it. Like, they're great. Everyone comes up with great ideas in terms of, some will do discounted, some will do like buy one get one half price, or buy one for a certain price with a little bit more value in it. So like, there's lots of different ways of working it. That you can get the most out of it.
Yeah. And I should point out also that it is very important to have an efficient and effective voucher booking system that is online constantly, because people, blokes in particular, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, like, oh, I forgot to get a present, quick, hop on the voucher.
That's why everything happens on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like, you're seeing most of them coming through. And obviously the online, option, so have it be able to be delivered by PDF is great. And obviously we've just updated all of our voucher, our voucher front end booking engine has just recently been updated. And we really wanted to make sure that was out in plenty of time for the selling season, so we can line up with all of our clients that we've got the right strategy in place to drive as much revenue through for them for the voucher season.
And actually, just speaking of vouchers, a lot of clients who are kind of luxury hoteliers probably wouldn't be discounting vouchers either, wouldn't need to, because their demand is so high, but it's still such an essential sale. In past properties, it'd be up to €1 million in voucher sales. So it's an enormously important source of revenue for hotels. And even if you're not doing I think a lot of hotels are very clever around, if they're doing discounts, it's for January, February, discounted vouchers, it's very targeted. And also the consumers used to that, especially with the advent of Black Friday. You're getting a deal, but there will be limitations to it. So it's just hotels leveraging those opportunities.
Yep, good point. And I should point out that this podcast goes out in conjunction with a blog we have published on our website. There will be a link to that in the podcast description, which is a sort of top 10 tips for planning your Christmas season starting in August. So we don't really need to go through all those tips. I say that's available on the blog. This is more, kind of a general overview with some specifics of just how important the Christmas season is to particularly to independent hoteliers, and I think that's coming across really well from you two. So thank you for that. One other thing that I wanted to mention is that we have international clients in Aró, not just from Ireland, UK, or Western Europe. And not everybody celebrates Christmas. Christmas is not as important For example, in the USA, Thanksgiving is a much bigger holiday in the US than Christmas. But I guess what we're talking about today is applicable to any major season, festivity, wherever you're based.
Yeah, definitely. I think like a lot of our clients they're really, really good at just acknowledging the different holidays. And even sometimes, just the acknowledgement of it is enough. And a lot of the clients obviously will have, customer bases, in the US and all over the world. So it's a great way of engaging with your guests as well, acknowledging their holiday, maybe just, mentioning something else along with that in terms of like, don't forget, we're available for vouchers or something like that. Like just things like that, small things to improve the engagement. But yeah, like it's great to be able to acknowledge that and just to make sure that we touch on it, with the clients. And I'm sure, Lisa, you probably have seen that as well from working in the hotels.
Yeah, and I think I suppose the festive season is a really good example, but it's probably a cut and paste for many other religious holidays and festivals around the world, because when you have the vast majority of the population on holiday or not working, it is a big change to the normal run-of-the-mill business. So no matter what celebration it is, like I'm thinking of New Year in China and things like that, where they're off for a month. It probably a lot of the same strategies apply that we would be applying in this part of the world for the festive season.
Good. That I think it's important to acknowledge the international nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all globally connected these days, I know, but there are still key differences in certain markets. One thing that I wanted to ask about is how, or what's the best way to update your website with your content for Christmas? So you were saying that people should start not only developing the content, Kira, but you mentioned that you can have the content on your website all the time. But what's the best way to populate your website with Christmas content, but in August it doesn't look like you've got snow scenes or roaring log fires, because it's not really appropriate to show that in August, but you want to have it ready. So what's the process of doing that on a website?
Well, what we would be normally recommending to our clients is just get your content, your Christmas pages live. They don't need to be in anybody's face, but they need to be searchable and found. So if somebody's doing a search and if somebody's on your website, they can navigate to it. And that's just very easy. Add that to the primary level navigation, add your secondary pages, make sure that they're all live. You can update all of your Christmas content if you have a Christmas module. Like we have different Christmas modules available for clients that, ties in content and imagery and all the main call to actions. They can all be updated and all easily found on the website. Majority of the Aró sites are very easy navigatable. Okay, so you should be able to get around quite easy. Then it kind of comes into sort of like, when do you actually start to get all the other stuff live, the bells and whistles? I would say that would be, as you come into the sort of late October, you really got to be finished with Halloween. You got to be done with that. And then it's like, bam, here we are, Christmas. So, and then you can go mad. You can, do as much as you want. You can do the falling snow and the glitter and the sparkle. And, I suppose, we already have our design team looking at what are our new things that we can look at for Christmas, visually on sites to make sure that, with the latest offerings for clients in terms of how they would like to promote their Christmas. And that'll just run through then till the end of December. And then it all becomes back to normal then in January from a visual perspective.
Yeah, that is important actually, because I think it's good to highlight that, Kira, because there's nothing worse than seeing a website, a homepage in January that still has the Christmas swing tags on it, or come to our roaring logfire Christmas, and it's now January. Yeah, it's important to take it off as well as to put it on.
Yeah. No, definitely. But I think as well as other bits, like a lot of clients will invest really heavily in like their video, their imagery and things like that. And that's all really important to portray as well across the websites. And, start thinking now as well about what their imagery and their content is and their video is going to be, because that takes a while to get all that ready, But yeah, you got to get rid of it in January for sure.
Yeah.
And can I just think it's worth mentioning that it is getting earlier every year as well. And I think it's slightly more acceptable that Christmas, the in-your-faceness of the festive season is getting earlier. Like I know from working in properties before, particularly for weddings, people would be like, when are your Christmas decorations going up? This would be in October because they
Yeah.
decorations up for when they're having their event. And so
Yeah.
little, I think a lot, you might agree or disagree with me, Kira, but I think a lot of hotels are suddenly, it's November is full on Christmas decorations
Yeah.
up all over the place. And I know that in the past we would have always held off going out with our corporate Christmas offers until the first week in September. And I remember one of the last years I was actually in a hotel, they were like, oh, we've had everyone else in, so everyone else had gone out in August.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, so I think, look, you have to be subtle about it, but there's no doubt that, the winter period is bleak and people love the lights and the hope of the festive season, I suppose. So we shouldn't see it as a negative thing. I think it carries a lot of us through.
Yeah, definitely.
A hard time of weather on this side of the planet, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, in the summer we're having, we could do with a bit of light and sun in the right now, actually. But anyway, we won't go there. Another thing I was going to mention, and Lisa, I was going to tap your expertise on this because, as I said, you're our marketing expert, but you also worked for many years in Hayfield Manor, or the Hayfield Family Collection, and Hayfield Manor is a 5-star, high-end luxury hotel in Ireland. Do you think that there's different expectations maybe for 5-star hotels against 4-star hotels, or would they tend to be the same, or should the decorations be better in a 5-star hotel? I'm being a little bit facetious there, but I think you take my point.
Yeah, I think the difference with the kind of clients that Aró have is that they're independent hoteliers, so they can do, and often family owned. So I think the element of kind of family pride and proudly independentness comes out at this time of year, no more than like if you go into, depending now on the property, in the middle of the summer, your flower display, I would imagine in an independent hotel might be a little bit more wow than in a corporate hotel, because it matters to the owners. The look, the feel, the ambiance matters hugely to the owners. So I think you do get a more individual festive feeling
Right.
from independent hotels, and each hotel is unique in a unique location, and they're generally experts at leveraging that, what's unique about their property, whether it's the staircase or, they'll have a central focus, right down to Christmas trees in every room. It's just each hotel probably has their own unique style at Christmas, and luckily independent hoteliers can really play that up and make the best of the beauty of their properties at that time of year.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned earlier, Lisa, and I just wanted to finish up with this point really, was about rates, because you were saying that hotels probably had set Christmas rates, the January gone. Would there be any need to be looking at those rates now, or as we go into the Christmas season, or would you think they're pretty much fixed? I know rate is a very key and can be an emotive subject for hoteliers.
Yeah, I mean, it's essential. It's an essential thing to keep an eye on. I mean, normally from about this time of year on, you'd be looking at Christmas every couple of days.
Right.
Looking at sales, your occupancy, and then aligning your rate strategy with it, your minimum length of stays, and things like that. It's extremely important because it is, a small window of opportunity, really. And also, I think what the general public and probably most hoteliers know very well is that it's a very unusual time because all the restaurants and shops and that are closed. So your festive package guests are in your building for 3 days, and therefore they're using all of your food and beverage facility. and most hotels have more rooms than they have food and beverage space. So you're limited in terms of the number of rooms that you can sell because of the amount of food and beverage space that you have. And therefore, because you have to pay your staff and you're paying, top dollar at that time of year, you have to charge more because you're selling fewer rooms because of because you want to offer the service. You don't want to queue people outside your restaurant. So it's a very bespoke package that people offer, and a very different to what they do at any other time of the year, because when people arrive at your hotel for the festive, for the actual 3 days or 2 days of the festive season, they are there. They're camping in your hotel for that period.
They're captive.
Yeah, and they have to pay for that.
Yeah. Okay, I had never thought of that. That's a really good point. Yeah. And I guess from your point of view, Kira, as an account manager who are being proactive with hotel clients, the kind of forecasting and reporting that we do in Aró would be key. They have at their fingertips all the information about who, how many people are booked, what the likely occupancy is, what the daily rate they're getting is, but also there's an element of forecasting in our reporting as well.
Yeah, like as Lisa said, obviously looking at how they're fixed for business on the books for Christmas is going to be a big thing from now, and they'll be looking at that the whole time and making sure that they're tracking towards where they need to be. So yeah, like in as part of the report, they can see that. But the voucher side of things, then obviously we'll be comparing that to probably previous figures in terms of last year's performance, or possibly 2 years ago, or wherever they really want to hone in on. And that would be sort of our benchmarking and what we're looking for there.
Yeah, so that is Christmas kind of wrapped up. So first pun of the season.
Great pun,
yeah. Okay, it's time to go. I'll take my dad jokes elsewhere. Yeah, it does seem slightly odd, but as I say, talking about Christmas, and it is sunny in Galway today, amazingly. But I think that has really pushed home how important the Christmas season is, what it means to independent hoteliers, and as I say, goes in conjunction with the top tips for Christmas blog, which is live on our website. The link will be in the podcast blurb. So thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you very much, Kira. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas to you as well in advance.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do it yet, Richard. It's too early.
No, that's okay. What I would say, and we say this at the end of each podcast, is please do get in touch with us. Don't be shy. We're here to help. You can contact us via our website. My email address is published with the podcast. And if you are looking for any Christmas tips, then yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch. So thank you very much.
Bye.